Hello, my name is Otis Landerholm. I'm an immigration lawyer. I fight for the rights of immigrants who are hoping to stay in the United States. And today I'm going to be presenting on how to file and to win DACA, which is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Okay, so really I want to talk first about the DACA basics. Then kind of what DACA is and whether or not, how to know whether or not I'm eligible. Then I want to talk about the application process, the paperwork, how to apply, and what else we need to know. And finally, I'll talk about how a lawyer can help throughout the process. Okay? So the DACA basics. DACA was a law that was passed by the Obama administration in the, sorry, it's not a law. It's a program that was passed by the Obama administration in the summer of 2012. Okay? It's not a law, which is significant because since it's a government program, politics can affect it. And so a new president could easily stop the program, and a new president could easily just take it away. It's not like it requires a whole act of Congress to change it. But it does give work authorization, driver's license, Social Security card, and documents to people that entered the United States when they were kids. The eligibility requirements are basically 5. First, you have to have arrived to the United States before you were 16. Second, you have to have lived in the United States continuously between the years 2007 and 2012. Okay. Third, you have to have either been in school or graduated. You have to either be in school or have graduated from high school in the United States, or have obtained a GED, or be honorably discharged from the U.S. Armed Forces. Okay. Fourth, you can't really have any bad history. And when I say bad history, no criminal history, no gang-related history, and even then, with no criminal history, it's like you can't have any quote-unquote significant misdemeanor, multiple misdemeanors, or felony convictions. So we would have to look at that, and we can talk about it. And the last requirement is you have to have been less than 31 years old as of June of 2012. Okay, so if you've got all of those 5 criteria met, then you are eligible for deferred action. So if you know that you're eligible, then let's talk about the application process. Basically, there's 3 steps. First, you gather all the paperwork, which includes the forms and it includes the evidence that you're eligible. Second, you submit the paperwork, you file it. You get notices from the government and you get requested for biometrics. They take your fingerprints and things like that. And then third is the decision. So approximately 6 to 9 months after you submit the paperwork, you'll get a decision in the mail, and it generally comes with a work authorization card that says that now you have deferred action status and you have the right to work in the U.S. So, all right, so let's talk about the paperwork. The paperwork that you need are, there's basically 4 forms that we put together when we do a deferred action application. The main form is I-821D, okay, which you can find online. It's on uscis.gov, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services website. The second form is the I-765, which is the application for work authorization. The third form is the I-765WS. It's a worksheet that explains why you need work authorization. And then the last form is Form G28, which says who your attorney or your representative is for the case. Okay? Along with those forms, you submit the required evidence. basically evidence that you meet all of the eligibility criteria, that you entered before you were 16, that you've been physically present in the United States for the required time period, that you actually did complete the education requirement. You also submit it with 2 photos. You also submit it with the filing fee, which is $465. You should submit that in a check or money order made out to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. For a complete checklist, we can either attach a checklist or feel free to call my office and we can get you a checklist that we use for our DACA cases. All right? So how do you apply once you've got this evidence? Basically, you complete the forms correctly. You compile all the evidence that you have in support of the application. You write a cover letter explaining your eligibility. You put the whole application in order. In my office, we make 2 copies of the whole application. One is for you, one is for us, and the original is to the U.S. government. And then 6, you submit the whole application. You submit it certified so you can prove that that it was received by the government. You submit it to the right place. So look on the instructions and make sure you know where you're supposed to submit it, and that will change depending on where you live in the United States. And then you wait for the response, okay? And you wait for the notices and the biometrics appointments and all that stuff. All right, so what else do you need to know? So first of all, DACA has its limits. Since it's not a law, it could easily be discontinued by the next president, which is why I recommend that you get your application in before the next president gets elected. Apply now while it's available. All right. The other thing is, though, that it has limits. You have to obey all laws even after you get DACA, right? It's not some sort of a license to, just because they're deferring action now doesn't mean that they have to continue to defer action. If you make some mistake, if you violate immigration law, if you violate a criminal law, they can take it away from you and put you into deportation proceedings pretty easily. The third limit on DACA is that it's, it's a 2-year deal. And so at the end of every 2 years, we'll have to renew it as long as it's renewable. So far they've been renewing them without problems, but it's something to keep in mind. So those are the limits. Let's talk about the benefits. The benefits of DACA is they give people who have always been undocumented documents, which means they give you work authorization, social security card, driver's license, and government-issued ID. You can take a trip, get on a plane, travel to Hawaii, things like that for the first time because you've got government-issued ID, where before it might have been more difficult to get into an airplane. Likewise, you can apply for advanced parole. You could actually travel outside of the United States, which we could talk about if that's something that interests you. We could have a more in-depth conversation about that because it's a separate application to apply for advanced parole. So how can a lawyer help you throughout the deferred action process? Basically, we can ensure that the forms were filled out properly. We can ensure that the evidence that you are submitting is good, right? And we can help minimize the chance of the government coming back and requiring more evidence and causing delays and causing additional frustration. Also, we can take precautions to make sure, really having a lawyer is a precaution to ensure that nothing gets lost in the mail. And the reason that is because the government will send copies to you and to us. And so that it's having an insurance against things getting lost in the mail. And more than that, it's having the backing of our office so that as you go through the case, you know that if there's ever a problem, that we'll be responding and that we'll keep everybody on track to make sure that we maximize your chances of winning your case. Okay, so that is basically DACA. We have services that we provide for people to help them through the deferred action process. The first way to do that is to schedule a consultation with our office so that we can go over everything and make sure that you're 100% eligible, and then we can talk about how to hire my office to help you out. Okay? So thank you very much, and thank you for watching, and best of luck with your case. And if you have any other questions whatsoever, I look forward to seeing you at your consultation. Okay? All right, thank you. Bye.